Everyone talks about the magic of the dolphin show, the magic of the dolphin show. And I used to think, like, why is the dolphin show so magical? Well, like, there's 100,000 budget, and there's 150 people working together in a room, and there's this 1,000-person audience every night. But when all of that was stripped away, and for months we were only allowed to be together on Zoom, I learned that, like, the dolphin show can still be magical no matter what, because what makes it magical is actually just a collaboration of that many Northwestern students getting to work together.
It's definitely been a whirlwind. When we signed on, I didn't anticipate spending like a year working on the dolphin show.
We've had the highest of highs and the lowest of lows. This is the first comeback of theater, one of the first major in-person experiences of theater on campus.
It's the first time I'm going to be doing some semblance of in-person stuff in a while.
We're like making the impossible possible again, because we were told you're not going to be allowed to do the dolphin show. We were like, all right, like with limitations comes creativity, so let's show you how we're going to do it.
Why Pippin? Why not Pippin?
One of the reasons we chose Pippin was because it's super flexible.
So this year that's its theme, flexibility.
You know, first released in the 70s and had a complete reimagination and survival. I just think it's a story that can adapt to any kind of any situation, any time, and you know, things have changed a lot between 2013 and 2020.
I think one of the most magical things about Pippin is the way that it can be reimagined in just about every iteration that you could ever want.
The beginning of the pandemic influenced a lot of how we were feeling.
Choosing a show that is going to be not only an important story to be told, but an important story to be told like right now is really tricky when the moment is changing so quickly.
In the spring, we started out with petitioning people and interviewing people, and they thought they were going to be working on a show that would have a cast of 25 plus and be in person with an audience of over 1,000.
We really had no idea, like, if we'd be able to do the show, if we had to do a show outside, if we had to do it inside, how many cast members we could have.
You have to set up 3 different plans and having to navigate those 3 plans.
We talked about moving our show outside initially, so all these designs and research pieces that designers were working on now had to be transferred to outside. So, you know, our lighting designer Henry had to figure out how to build his plot around something where the sun literally moves in the sky during the performance.
We started looking into all these different like materials, what would be really cool if we had an outdoor show. And I came across this like colored plexiglass that Mary and I got really excited about, and actually stayed in all the final designs and became sort of the biggest element of the set. So that's really cool. It's like a material that I've never worked with before, and I don't know if we would have gone to that direction if we had known that we would just be in con this whole time.
Every day I keep thinking like, oh right, well this is being filmed.
It's definitely cool to think about how like different film shots influence the storytelling. It's almost like we have like another tool to use.
We get to choose what we want to highlight. So our director Mary and our directors of film at the Media and Innovation Center are working together to create a shot list. So, you know, when you are sitting in the balcony of a live theater show and you wish you could see Pippin's face as he's singing Corner of the Sky, like you can actually see that now.
I think that it like opens up a lot of room to really showcase some of the designer's work. Like Isabella's gonna have shots of her set that like really would not have gotten the attention that they would have had everyone been in con.
Being able to really see like the design choices that I've made, the wood stain, the paint, all of that, like it's something that you see from an audience in a theater, but there are a lot of elements that I think being able to see them up close really adds to it.
When we're checking the show, I'll have a monitor of the live feed of the stage on my tech table, and instead of looking at the stage, I have to look at the stage and look at that monitor and say, okay, are these colors reading correctly on camera?
The cast is going to be lip syncing to pre-recorded tracks for the final filming. In order to have them sing live, first of all, I don't think it follows like the COVID guidelines that were approved for the process, but then also we would have to line so many things up and do it so precisely that the amount of time it would take would not be worth the trouble that it is to just have everyone sing from home and then lip sync.
Interesting thing with being a stage actor is like you mess up, I'm like you gotta figure that out. Whereas, and this is just not saying it's better, but like it's just, you know, you mess up, you do it again.
I keep telling that to the dancers. I'm like, hey, if you fall out of your turn, it's okay because it's not live theater, right?
It lives in this cool hybrid world of like half live musical, half film.
Yeah. But then this goes all the way up. When you put it on here. Yeah.
Things really started to feel like substantially different in the fall when we were back on campus, and instead of ever meeting with, you know, like with Isabella, the scenic designer, or Mary, or any of my team in person and like having those conversations, it was all over Zoom.
There's such a different energy when you're all like looking at each other in little squares on a computer screen as opposed to like in a physical space together.
Time in labs, we're all in our small dorm spaces, cameras are reversed.
Had to get really inventive. Sketching and like putting stuff up on your Zoom screen is actually an interesting medium because you can annotate on it. So, you know, maybe like our director Mary and our set designer Isabella will go back and forth being like, this is what I think it should look like, and Mary can make edits on the screen.
Learning music is really hard on Zoom. One of my favorite things about musical rehearsal processes is the ability to like hear that first harmony sink in the space, and obviously we can't get that. It's a lot of, Lorenzo likes to make the joke of, you look like you sound amazing.
We have to know exactly how many times we want to repeat this. We have to know exactly how many bars we need. And so it's just a lot of like pre-planning instead of getting to play and discover.
Definitely more difficult to find like character.
You know, normally I craft a character over 5-6 weeks of rehearsal, and it's all in person.
I think that Mary asks the right questions and creates a really safe space for conversation that makes it so that I am able to find the things that I need to find before just like hopping into con.
There are times where it's really easy to forget, like, oh, I'm just in my room alone, because you feel so much a part of something when you're working with other people that are so willing to give like the generosity of their energy and their attention.
Every single day when we like look at each other in rehearsal, it's like we're all just sort of on the same page of like, this is a really special thing that we're doing, no matter how weird, and we'll laugh about how weird it is in a couple of years, I'm sure.
And having people like tuning in virtually from like kind of all over the country, like we have a props designer who tunes in from like across the world, and that is so exciting, and I feel like has opened up so many opportunities to kind of bring people together in a time where we kind of accidentally have to be pretty split apart. So the fact that like the Dolphin Show and Pippin is the reason why we're coming together and like all investing ourselves in something is something like really special about this year.
And anything this year has just taught me to be grateful for like the small things.
And everything is stripped away when like all of the crazy elements of life, the like thrills of being extraordinary, of being met with success, of like being wealthy or even like royalty are stripped away. Like really what is left is human connection. And I think that right now the world is going through something similarly, where like all of the normal aspects of our lives are stripped away, and what is left are the relationships that we have with people.
It shows us that the things that matter most in life, sometimes they can seem to be these very big, materialistic, selfish desires, but it's honestly just, as the show says, simple joys, you know, and finding happiness and love in little things in your relationships with your friends and family.
It's about someone very much like me, very much like all of us at Northwestern, trying to find our place in the world, which I think is even more relevant now that the world is completely turned upside down.
At Northwestern, obviously we are all trying to find ourselves in one way or the other, and probably all of us feel like it has to be this big, grandiose thing that we're looking for, and that may not be exactly what we all need.
And sometimes it can feel like everyone's pulling you in different directions, and you often have time to really focus on what you want from the world and what you want to do with your life.
Honestly, in this pandemic, I've kind of learned that it's good to like maybe not want the biggest things in the world, but to like really find comforts in the little things. And I definitely think that that's a huge lesson that we get from the show.
So I want everyone to really look at this story and look at the way it's told in music and dance and these really beautiful, relatable elements that are able to speak to different parts of you that typically can't be reached by normal spoken word, and be able to realize that and then find ways that they too can focus on those simple things in their own life.